Loving Sairams and a warm welcome to all Sai young adults and viewers from around the world who have joined us for today's webinar. My name is Marine Offran, and I am one of the co-leads of the Sri Sathya Sai International Veda Subcommittee. It is an absolute pleasure and honor to introduce you all to our guest speaker, Swami Chidananda, who is going to be addressing us about the topic of you and your personality, fragmentation to integration, insights from the Vedas. Swami Chidananda has been a Vedanta teacher and speaker on human values for more than 3 decades. His work has been done at many cities of India like Mumbai, Bengaluru, Varanasi, and Chennai. After he served for 5 years as a resident Vedanta teacher in San Jose, California in the mid-1990s, his work has also been done in the USA. Since 2006, he heads the 4Y Forum, which stands for Flame of Who Am I, a non-profit organization in India that disseminates philosophical and spiritual knowledge, with special coverage of Indian ethos. Numerous talks by him are on YouTube on the 4Y channel. As an author of 7 books, he is specially known for his presentations on Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, and works of Sri Ramana Maharshi. Hailing from Udupi district in Karnataka state, he currently lives in Mumbai. He began with a career in electronics engineering with a BE from Mysore University and an MTech from the Indian Institute of Technology in Madras. He was highly inspired by Pujya Swami Chinmayananda ji and joined the ashram of his guru in Mumbai in 1984. He served the Chinmaya mission for 18 years. Students everywhere appreciate his clarity of thoughts, grip on Sanskrit, and elucidation of difficult topics in an easy and elegant manner. When he was an engineering student, he had a darshan of Sri Sathya Sai Baba in Puttaparthi in 1978. Starting in 1986, he has occasionally addressed Sathya Sai centers in various towns and cities of India. In September 2023, he addressed the Sri Sathya Sai Center of Arcadia in Southern California. He spoke to the students of the Sri Sathya Sai University for Human Excellence in 2022. If you have any questions for our guest speaker today, please feel free to use the chat feature in Zoom, and we will do our best to pass on as many of them as possible during the Q&A session later on in the webinar. Without further ado, I would like to warmly welcome our respectable guest speaker, Swami Chidananda, to kindly share with us his invaluable knowledge. Thank you. Jai Sai Ram.
Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Sathya Sai Swamine. I am indeed delighted to share some thoughts as a humble offering at the feet of Swami Shri Sathya Sai. Friends, we have at this session an interesting topic before us. You and your personality, the transformation from fragmentation to integration. Fragmentation basically means living in conflict, living in double standards, living in hypocrisy, living in so much of inner sorrow. When there is integration, we then have certain coming together, certain unification. So we will now see how the Vedas give us guidance in this very important area. I will share some simple slides to make this learning a bit more easy and enjoyable too. So it is insights from Vedas towards understanding how we can change from being divided to being united. And in this matter, we will draw from the Vedas. There are many insights spread across the four Vedas. Motivational statements many a time can cheer us up from being a bit down, depressed, when we come across such statements like charai veti, which simply means keep moving. In Rigveda, in a certain portion called Aitareya Brahmana, not Aitareya Upanishad, Aitareya Brahmana, Brahmana is here name given to a certain portion. That's it. It is said, O traveler, march along, march along. The Veda says in the verse, honeybees move constantly, birds keep flying, and the sun is perpetually emitting light. Why not we learn lessons from them? And rather than staying idle, we must give our best to the society, for society is an expression of the Lord. Serving the society, Lord will bless us too. Have no doubt about it. Therefore, like the bees, like the birds, and like the sun, keep moving. In the Yajurveda, there is a beautiful Upanishad called Kathopanishad. That Upanishad says our entire life is like a journey by a chariot. We are not the person driving, the driver or the charioteer is our intellect, buddhi. Please note, once we realize that this buddhi can direct us, take us in the right direction, it's important to educate the buddhi regularly, constantly. So all spiritual education, including this lecture going on now, is to educate the buddhi. If the buddhi, intellect, who is the charioteer, is a balanced, skilled, and able person, even if the roads are bad, even if some obstacles come, the chariot and in modern times the car or bus will go in a proper way. Therefore, the physical body is the chariot, the intellect is the driver, the reins are no other than our mind, the horses are our sense organs, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin, which constantly tend to get tempted, but we need to control them. It's not that we should not enjoy life, but we should not get enslaved by any pleasure. The roads are the objects of the senses. Giving such excellent metaphors and accompanying words, Buddhim to Sarathim Viddhi, Kathopanishad from Yajurveda gives us a certain better understanding of what's going on in our life. Many a time we get despondent. We say, what is this life? It looks so meaningless. No, life is not meaningless. This human life of ours is meant for a terrific, wonderful, great journey upwards. That is what we are trying to touch upon from fragmentation of personality to integration of personality. Let me take an example from Samaveda. Again, as my expertise is more in the Upanishads, I'm drawing from Chandogya Upanishad, which is in Samaveda. The famous sentence, Tattvamasi, Tattvam Asi, that thou art, or that you are. What does it mean to say you are that? The word that means divinity. Or leave alone divinity, the word that means a higher possibility. There is a higher possibility already in you. You are a field of infinite possibilities. I draw from Deepak Chopra, whom I used to call Pop Vedantin, pop meaning popular. Pop Vedantin Deepak Chopra left behind a legacy of a lot of literature in that he uses such expressions. Every one of us is a field of infinite possibilities, and we must tap those possibilities. Now, that doesn't mean we shine and everybody envies us. It's not about going on a high pedestal and saying, ha ha, I reached, and all of you guys are down there. No, rather, it is tapping our potential to love all, to love unconditionally, not to seek any egoistic gratification. Thus, in Kathopanishad again, there is a statement: arise, awake, and know the truth of your existence. Uttishtata, Jagrata, Prapya Varan, Vibodhata. After Rigveda, Yajurveda, and Samaveda, I bring you to Atharva Veda. Again, while there are lots of other mantras in what is called Veda Purva, I pick up a mantra from Veda Anta, Vedanta, that is Upanishads. In Mundaka Upanishad, again another touching metaphor is given. Pranavo dhanuhu sharohi atma brahma tallakshya muchyate apramattena vedhavyam sharavat tanmayo bhavet, and so on. I have taken just a part of it. Pranavo dhanu, hold the bow, which is no other than Omkara. I have heard that Swami Sri Sathya Sai Baba advised the devotees to recite Om every morning 21 times. And that itself is a great way to begin the early morning. And Om or Sri Ram, Jai Ram, or Sai Ram, or Om Namah Shivaya, one of them can be used to train our mind, to use that and to stabilize our mind. A few minutes in the morning, a few minutes in the evening are enough. And then appropriate study can also give to us a better understanding. The mind has to be trained in both ways. Tame it, that is, control it, uh, train it to withdraw when necessary, that is abhyasa, and another is illuminate, give us new insights. It's ignorant. It is ignorant to start with. It doesn't know much. This mind has to be taught. Mind has to be shown. Just as a little 4-year-old girl may not know electricity. There's a live wire and the girl is about to go and hold it in her hand. Then her older sister comes running and says, "Oh, don't touch it." And then slowly the younger sister is made to understand. It's danger. It's like fire. You don't touch it. Oh, she understands. You and I, though we may be above 40 or 50 or even more, or 20 or 30 or even less, many things we don't have clarity. What is right? We presume. Therefore, spiritual education, adhyatmika shikshana, is important. The Mundaka Upanishad says, take the bow of Omkara and place upon it the arrow of your mind, which has to be trained, which has to be sharpened. Arrow has to be sharpened. The mind has to be given ability to concentrate, ability to keep away from dirty thoughts. As Vivekananda had said once, whatever weakens you, whatever weakens you physically, intellectually, or spiritually, throw it away as poison. We don't want to get weaker as days pass. We realize life is such a challenge. We've made many mistakes. Now we must go carefully. We must go from strength to greater strength. And that is the meaning of sharpening the arrow. Let the mind be trained. And such a trained mind, like the sharpened arrow, is to be placed upon the bow of Omkara. And finally, the goal is that undivided, non dual truth called Om or called Brahma. Sometimes that is also referred to as Om. Brahma is the ultimate truth. To be frank, or to do justice to the topic, nobody suddenly goes to that highest realization. You and I move from being fragmented to being integrated, from lot of untruth, lot of false behavior, lot of contradictions and lack of self-control and such things, to a certain way of living where there is the fragrance of natural, easy self-control, where there is the fragrance of telling the truth, where there is the perfume of doing as we say. Our thought, our word, and our deed are all properly aligned. Otherwise, you know how our life can go haywire. We say something, we think something else, and finally we end up doing something totally different. Alas, let that not happen. So, use the bow of O. Put the mind, which is like arrow, and reach the highest goal in two phases. First, go from uh, adharma to dharma, from disorder to orderly living. Let there be the stamp of noble values in the way we live our 24 hours, not just how we show ourselves in the public, but even in our private life. Let there not be wrong things, false things, which our own conscience does not approve. And I want to dwell a little more on fragmentation and integration. In mathematics, we have what is called fractions: 3 by 4, 7 by 8, or 12 by 15, etc. Fractions. Fractions are like a broken mirror. And in mathematics, we have integers. Integers are whole numbers: 2, 7, 5, 3, 25. Integers, whole numbers. This is an analogy. In fact, it was rightly said by some wise person, Mahatmas, holy people, are like integers. They are integrated. And we therefore respect them a lot. Ordinary people, even if they have a PhD in chemistry or economics, alas, in their personal psychological life, they say something, then do something else, and God knows what they have in their mind. There are a lot of contradictions, and much leaves or much remains to be desired. Let us not be like that. So, living in low self esteem is another aspect of fragmented living. When we rise spiritually through various practices as well as study, surrender to God, surrender to Swami, then our self esteem rises. Once more, it's not about being egoistic, aha, I am no better than everybody else. Oh no. It's rather a certain silent appreciation of how we used to do so many foolish things before and how, thank God, nowadays I live a reasonably good life. I do what I promise people. I don't unnecessarily exaggerate. I neither talk too much nor do I keep my mouth shut when I need to say something. Wow, this is how I've always wanted to live. Finally, with God's grace, my life seems to be coming on track. In this way, there is a certain silent satisfaction, and in no way we are trying to prove that we are better than others. It's not an egoistic journey. On the contrary, this movement from fragmentation to integration is letting go of egoism. And we could have been careless and insensitive before, we become more caring and more sensitive. There was a story where a man was made a king of a certain country for 5 years, but a strict condition: after 5 years, you will be transported to another place across the river. And there were similar men before who were kings, and after 5 years, they were taken to the other island sort of place, and their wild animals ate them up. That was a jungle. But one intelligent man who became the king for 5 years, what he did was wonderful. During the 5 years, he not only was a good king who looked after the kingdom, but some energy every day he spent on planning to do something in that island. He sent some soldiers, some officers, and quietly, secretly, he also went there sometimes with the army and cleaned up that jungle. Of course, not fully. Today, we are all very cautious about environment without damaging the environment. Certain area, maybe 100 acres, 200 acres, he made a small town, a township. And when the 5 years ended, he was happy to go there. And the citizens of this main country were surprised. Everybody went crying. But this king went smiling. In fact, he welcomed some citizens to come with me. We have a nice township there. Let's go settle there. So life is like that 5 years tenure of that king. You and I can make good use of this life, and for whatever lies beyond this life, we must prepare well in advance. It is through going for Shreya, that's the word again from Kathopanishad. Shreya or Shreyas means the good. Shreya or Preyas is what is pleasant, what is pleasurable. For a while we enjoy, only to meet with sorrow later on. So we must build all available resources. I mean, you must use all available resources to build a good future for ourselves. Forms of prayers or prayer, which pleases us for a while, but later on we are in trouble, are eating junk food at any time, spending too much time on the mobile, and merely for entertainment, or sometimes information which we really don't need, simply out of idle curiosity, sleeping at any time. The teacher who taught me Vedanta, Swami Chidananda, used to say, your freedom is not to do what you feel like doing. Generally, we say we are free when we can do whatever we want to do. To do what we feel like doing is misunderstood to be freedom. But in this context, a certain urge, a certain impulse, certain tendency rises in us. But if we have certain carefulness, we don't do whatever our mind suggests. So sleeping at any time is not good. Fix your hours. Give the body necessary rest. But don't sleep at any time and every time. And so on. Leaving study or work at the drop of a hat. You are studying, a young boy, young girl is studying, and some friend comes on the road and whistles or makes a clap. And the boy says, coming, leaves all work and goes. Both of them take off in a two-wheeler, maybe. So, you and I have, even though we have on one hand so much scholarship, so much knowledge, so many degrees, we are all respectable citizens in the society, but we have our weaknesses. And during some weak moments, we say yes where we ought to say no. And we say no where we ought to say yes. All this is where what leads us to prayers. And when our mind is weak, we are chained by it. We are bound. We may be otherwise very strong, but a weak mind makes us bound in our life. In contrast, forms of Shreya, that is the good, which may be a bit unpleasant, uncomfortable. But if we go for Shreya, by the way, this Preya and Shreya are from a mantra in Yajurveda, namely, or specifically, Kathopanishad. Shreyascha preyascha purusham sinitaha tausam paritya vivinatti dhiraha. In this way, there is a mantra. So, forms of Shreya are continuous or sustained study of Dharma Shastra, ethics, bringing Dharma to daily practice, and our unsteady mind, which tends to run away at the drop of a hat, has to be trained to have focus. As the saying goes, let's learn to do one thing at a time, but that done well. Practicing our own religion, but respecting other religions. We should not be fault finders with other religions, nor should we remain ignorant of our own religion. And in today's world, with a lot of freedom for everybody to choose their path, we must learn to have respect for all. This movement from being fragmented or being pulled down by prayers to being integrated to Shreyas is rightly compared by some poets with changing a broken house to a well built, new, renovated house. There are two pictures here in this slide. Who among us would want to live in this broken house? It is so scary. A snake can come in, or anything else can come in, and it may not even protect us from nature's fury, rains, or some other problem. Look at the second picture, a properly finished house with all amenities. And that's not meant just for enjoying, we'll enjoy also, but it is meant for spiritual practices also. Therefore, Shreya is 1,000 things that you and I can do every day, which so surely helps us become better human beings. Self education, I have been talking about Dharma Shikshana, that is, education that teaches us how to live rightly. Sometimes our own family and college also can help to some extent. But all said and done, nobody is with us 24 hours a day. We must help ourselves to an equal extent or to a greater extent. In the Bhagavad Gita, therefore, it is said, lift yourself by yourself. In the sixth chapter, Uddhared Atmana Atmanam Atmanam Avasadayet Atma eva Atmano Bandhuhu Atma eva Atmano Ripuhu. Your own mind can be your best friend if you train it well, if you handle it well. Your own mind can be your worst enemy, says Bhagavad Gita. Sri Krishna says to Arjuna, and over the shoulders of Arjuna, he is addressing all of us. Do not let yourself go down the slippery slope. Never too late to wake up and march ahead in the right direction. You and I should, with self effort, yes, there is our effort needed. We must grow to be an able, confident, and good human being. So the example is given. A favorable breeze, favorable winds might be there, but it's our job to raise the sail, tie the sail up, a boat with a sail. So there is a bit, sometimes you may call it our 2 cents. A dollar has 100 cents. We have our 2 cents to do, and we must ask ourselves, have we done our 2 cents? Then probably 98 cents in the dollar are by God, by society, by friends, by the constitution, by the country's law and orders, authorities, by so many other forces. But our 2 cents have to be done by us only. The winds of grace are always blowing, but it's up to us to raise our sail. Then the boat takes advantage of those favorable winds and moves in the right direction. So in Manusmriti, there is a famous line, Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitaha. Dharma, that is all the right living laws of right living. If we go by them, we protect them by living them, then they protect us. Dharma yadi rakshitaha asman rakshati. Or in a simple, more easy translation is Dharma protects its protectors. Are we protectors of Dharma? In testing moments, Have we gone by what is right rather than what is pleasing? If we have protected Dharma in those trials, then Dharma will stand by us when we need its help. Ethics will protect us if we protect ethics in our daily life. And as in personal life, so it should be in professional life also. Great minds across the world, from Africa and South America, from Australia and Japan, from North America and Asia, wherever around the world, there have been great minds, great thinkers. Albert Einstein, who was known for physics, also said some wonderful things, and one of them is he said, do not go after success so much. Don't seek glitter and glamour. If it comes, okay, but let it not be your priority. Be a person, be a lady of value, your man of success. Success does not guarantee happiness. We should know that. Success can give us peculiar satisfaction at times, but various other forms of sorrow continue to be in our life. Whereas noble values, properly digested, properly lived, give to us certain inner strength. And one comment is very important. All scriptural knowledge and spiritual education always goes together hand in hand with common sense. In the name of some scriptural knowledge, we must not go touch fire. Fire will burn our hands. Common sense and a certain assessment of how good we are, how strong we are, how able we are, and our capacity is necessary. If we overestimate us, we could burn our fingers. If we undervalue us, we might lose many opportunities to do some meaningful service to the society. In another 2 minutes, I will conclude my presentation. Then there is an opportunity to ask some questions, which I shall try to answer. Practically, this is the last slide. Vedas, Vedic insights. Now, earlier I began with Charaiveti. That is not from the Upanishads. Upanishads are very much a part of Vedas, as most of you know, but there is the larger portion called Veda Purva. Upanishads are that part of the Vedas which are called Vedanta. So while concluding, I draw one more from Veda Purva. In Rigveda, in the 10th Mandala and 191st Sukta, there is a whole poem. I am just quoting here two lines. Sangachadvam samvadadvam samvo manamsi janata, which is translated in so many ways by scholars. But one translation which is very appealing and fits in well with our times is addressing a group, maybe a family, maybe an organization like SSSIOIA, Sri Sathya Sai International Organization, especially the young adults group, let's say. So this mantra addresses teamwork, addresses teams. May you move in harmony. May you speak in one voice. Let your minds be in agreement. Go to YouTube. There are musical versions of this by so many organizations. There are dance dramas. There are, you know, groups singing this in various tunes and so on. It's a very popular mantra. Rigveda, not an Upanishad, but the early portions of various hymns. Sukta is a hymn. The Vedas thus ask us to unite and work together. We must learn the importance of being able to, as management experts say, synergize. Synergize means, it is a magic. 2 plus 2 normally is 4. But when there is synergy between people with different skills and they come together and synergize, 2 plus 2 can be 7. 2 plus 2 can be 25. What does it mean? When they exchange and communicate and share and do not repeat what somebody else is doing, when there is optimization, the production of a group can be far more than the algebraic sum of what they could do being in isolation. Someone beautifully said team, TEAM, actually stands for together, everyone achieves more. When we come together, we achieve much more than otherwise. Sangachadvam, samvadadvam, samvo manansi janata is an excellent piece that promotes such coordination, such teamwork. I am here to compliment the Sri Sathya Sai International Organization's young adults group who are putting together nice programs. I compliment them. I express my heartiest best wishes to them in all future work. With this, I am here to once more offer my pranams at the feet of Sri Swami Sathya Sai and thank all of you for joining this program enthusiastically. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namo Namah.
Om Sairam Swamiji. Sairam everybody. Swamiji, I just want to thank you so much for these beautiful insights into the Vedas and into the self as well. I think it's all given us much to ponder on, much to think about, and I think shed light on very important aspects of our own lives and how we should handle things from a Vedic perspective and from the wisdom derived from the Vedas. During the course of the talk you've given us, Swamiji, we've had some questions that have come in that I'd like to pose to you now. If anyone would like to also pose some questions to Swamiji, whilst we're busy asking these questions, you're still more than welcome to do so. If we, as much time as we have, we will continue to ask these questions. All right. So Swamiji, the first question that's come up is, how should we look at the purpose of life in financial loss due to following what is Shreyas in one's own life and personality?
Yes, a very practically significant question. If we incur financial loss due to following what is Shreyas to one's own life and personality, how do we handle this? Well, we must know, as Bhagavad Gita constantly or repeatedly advises us, not to excessively depend upon the results of actions. So when we fail, when we incur loss, it is painful, no doubt. We must again examine, was it only because I followed the path of Shreyas? Or did I make some other mistake? Did I fail in motivating my team? Did I slacken? Did I work less? Or did I not pay heed to somebody's advice at the right time? Maybe I need to develop some business skills. So maybe I should, rather than compromising with Shreyas, there must be some areas where remaining honest and remaining well aligned towards life's goal, I should be a very good person in business too, business or in whatever is the endeavor. Therefore, uh, not losing our equanimity, not losing that inner balance, we have to bear with the pain and review how we acted so far. And I'm sure there will be some new way, new avenue opening up. When next time you are going by shares, you are also acting with a better sense of finance and other business matters, you will succeed.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Swamiji. That's a beautiful answer. I hope that that answers the question to the person that asked. The next question, Swamiji, what must you do when someone upsets you very badly? think also a very practical question.
Correct. And you know what? In everybody's life, somehow God always keeps at least one person who does this periodically, if not frequently, who upsets us very badly, who disappoints us, who provokes us, who annoys us, who lets us down, sometimes in front of others, makes some insulting remark and all that. So, from a spiritual perspective, we look at it as probably necessary for our inner growth, probably to strengthen our spiritual muscles, to have greater emotional strength, to bear with it. So, now coming to the core of the question, what must we do? We must, number one, avoid negativities rising from our within. Suppose somebody says an insulting word, we feel like saying an equally insulting word to him or her, we should avoid that. We should avoid wrong words, wrong actions coming from our side. But suppose sometimes it is possible to express in what they call in emotional intelligence assertively, not aggressively, but assertively. We may, for example, the least we could do is to put our chest up and say, look, I'm not happy about what you said. Please avoid such statements in future. No unparliamentary word, no bad words, and thus asserting, expressing that we resent that kind of behavior. And whatever other, you may call it some dharmic methods. Sometimes we are unable to say what should be said. We can have some other person. Can you put a word to him? Can you say something to her so that he or she doesn't behave like that anymore to me? In this way, we can take some help. Therefore, we should find what are dharmic ways possible, ethical ways. Ethically, we should, tackle those things and not just let that person continue to do whatever he did before.
Excellent. I think absolutely practical advice. I think that we can all, I think no one's immune to this this situation. So I think it's something we can all inculcate into our lives. Next question, Swamiji. What are some of the ways to develop equanimity and self-confidence when every aspect of your life is affected by bad circumstances?
Yeah. There are two aspects to developing equanimity. One is, let me put that first, learning on the fly. That means every situation teaches us lessons. Every situation, like somebody came, let us say, at my office to my cabin and behaved in a very irritating manner. I gave it to him. I used some rough and bad words. He walked away. Then I say, oh my God, did I have to behave like this? So at office, during a certain interaction, I reflect on it. I take 2 minutes and say, I should be careful. The spiritual teachings ask me not to use unparliamentary words. So, at situations, so we go to a party and we take a sweet. It's so good. We take a second, third, and fourth one. Stop at fourth one at least, and then say, "What happened to me? I'm going off board or beyond limits." So, during various scenarios, right there, we need to educate ourselves. That's one part. Another, let me share with you a formula I have been sharing with my audiences for last 30 years. You know, we as the personality consist of three components: body, mind, intellect. Body is the physical body, mind is the emotional mind, intellect is the thinking, rational aspect of thinking, of thoughts. So for BMI, body, mind, and intellect, we must do every day at least 20 minutes a day average of exercise, meditation, and study. A 20 minutes daily average. This is a second aspect because this is to be done privately with maybe door closed. Today, I missed my exercise in the morning. After this session, my door is anyhow closed. I'm going to do some 25 minutes asana, pranayama, and so on. That's my XMS. XMS, Christmas, as a memory aid. X for exercise, for the B, body. M for prayers, meditations, for the mind, which is emotional. And study, spiritual study. Don't say I read New York Times every day without fail for 20 minutes. New York Times also may have a spiritual column, but some spiritual study. It has to be study that elevates your values. So, to summarize, we must do on the fly learning, taking 2 minutes. The person disturbed me and walked away from my cabin. Before I call in my next visitor, I just reflect. Was I okay in my behavior? I must be careful like that. We mid-course corrections we need to make as we get going. Another is private spiritual practice, exercise, meditation, study, XMS for BMI, body, mind, and intellect. Then our equanimity, self-confidence will go on rising. When every
Absolutely.
okay, that's uncovered.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Swami. I'm actually so happy you mentioned the BMI. I think Swami Chinmayananda did a beautiful explanation of the BMI chart as well. That I think
Correct.
it's an excellent tool for achieving equanimity. So no, great. Thank you so much, Swamiji. Next question. I think this will be one of we be rounding up now. So one of the last questions. How do you find your purpose when circumstances, conditions, pressures tend to weigh you down and distract you? And how do you know you've truly found your purpose?
Wonderful question. In fact, finding our purpose is sometimes a lifelong challenge. Let me tell you, uh, if you permit me to be a bit autobiographical. At the age of 67, I am also wondering on that. What is the purpose of my life? 67, but still, I am not a young adult. But because this society, even the spiritual organizations, ashrams, all of them influence us. Do this, do that. Look at that ashram, what he is doing. Your ashram should do it. Look at that sadhu who is doing. You also should do it. So all of us come under societal pressures, conditionings. So to find the purpose, without going away from what I said in answering the previous question, as we are more regular in our exercise, in our meditation, and in our study, we'll find that a certain self observation becomes sharper. We are able to observe the way our thoughts are moving. As Swami Chidananda used to say, as your sadhana advances, there is reduction in quantity of thoughts and increase in quality of thoughts. We get nobler thoughts and less number of thoughts. In that environment, one thing happens. You will know what Sri Krishna calls in the Gita Swadharma. Swadharma is, to translate it in a certain way, our own nature, what we are made for. We might have failed in business. Maybe we were not made for business. I tried to be an actor in Bollywood or Hollywood. I did not succeed much. One or two movies were okay, but later on failed. Something like that, in many areas we might have failed, but sadhana, spiritual practices will help us put them all in a perspective, and some inner voice will tell us most important is to be a good human being, not to keep a grudge against anybody, not to label ourselves as a failure just because outwardly I failed here or there. Because the only failure in spirituality is to succumb to negativities, to hate somebody, to be jealous of somebody, and to say, I am such a worthless person. All these negative thoughts are the true failure. Business failure is not really much of a failure. Failure in some relationships not actually such a big deal. Therefore, coming to the crux of the matter, you find your purpose when mind becomes a little quieter and you find what you love to do. Maybe you can, somebody may be inspired to have a totally new project where her heart is. It could be a big project. Somebody else might find, go to a village and teach a few boys and girls simple life. And so that's my calling. So you and I find our inner calling and our life is aligned with that inner calling, then outwardly it might make news or nobody might notice us, doesn't matter. We have found our purpose. When we listen to the voice of our conscience and then we put in energy aligned with the voice of the inner conscience, then there is life lived in a proper purpose. So we need to have a quieter mind, a purer mind, less thoughts in number, and better quality in terms of values of life. Then we have the intelligence within us. And the Guru inside us also says, look, now you are available. This is what you got to do. This is your purpose. The people who discover their purpose pretty late also, after 60s, after 70s too. Never too late. When the mind is pure, you will know that this is my purpose. I should not bother about even what my brothers or sisters did. Though I am the son of the same mother who gave birth to these two or three people, my purpose in life is different. And above all, it is to live in love and peace more than external assets and those things.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Swamiji. I think the last two questions. First one would be, which Veda mantra would you recommend to strengthen one's mind?
Oh,
Any particular mantra?
yeah. In today's liberal world, I can advise Gayatri Mantra because the Gayatri Mantra from Vedas, it is from the Vedas, discovered by sage Vishwamitra, and it's you should learn it from a proper teacher, not such a complex matter, but should not learn from just a book or something. Should double check with somebody who knows the Vedic chant. So you learn the Gayatri Mantra, and that means I pray to that divine effulgence which prompts my thoughts. So inner strength is in good thoughts, in thoughts which give us a different direction in dealing with situations. A negative thought says, go commit suicide. A negative thought says, if he does it once more, shoot him. These are all bad thoughts. Whereas the divine power to which we pray in Gayatri, gives us noble thoughts. It directs us in noble direction. Then, on one hand, we don't do something nasty to the other people. On the other, we find a healthy and better purpose. We follow that. So, Gayatri, Om Bhur Bhuvaswaha Tat Saviturvarenyam Vargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Everybody knows, but learn it from a good teacher. Even I might have made slight mistake. Yeah, I would recommend that.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Swamiji. I think excellent tool was Gayatri. I think it's a mantra that's all near and dear to all of us. So I think it's quite easy one. So I think if we all put a bit more effort into chanting Gayatri regularly, we'll all have fortified minds against all the distraction and Maya that exists around us. And last question, just from my side. I think I'm also, having an engineering background. So I think just an interesting question. How would you say the engineering principles of just let's look at science and technology reconcile with the ancient knowledge of the Vedas?
Yes, yes, yes. When I was doing my engineering in 1980, Swami Chidananda came like a storm, but a good storm, and lifted me off the ground. Since then, you see, 44 years have passed. I have never felt that the spiritual science is at variance with our science, physics or maths or chemistry. All that logic, all that reason, all that neatness is in the spiritual science too. Take, for example, the karma theory: do bad and receive bad, do good and receive good. That's like Newton's third law. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction to it. And think of various other laws everywhere. You know, they say matter and energy are at the most interchangeable, they are not destructible. Conservation of energy, conservation of matter, they are the two laws. In spirituality, we say you are indestructible. The inner spiritual truth doesn't die. You are imperishable, and so on. So there is a lot of neatness. Everything makes beautiful sense. We need to have faith in the beginning. But even as we go about it with faith, we see that what is being said in the spiritual scriptures is possible. It is possible that as we connect to God, our own inner faculties improve. God is up there by repeating Om Namo Narayanaya. How will I do better in my work, which is in the world of technology? One may wonder. But there's a great logic. If you think more of Lord Narayana in visible and invisible ways, you will have a calmer mind. You will have a more peaceful mind. And in any field, technology or finance, acting or singing, a relaxed mind, a calm mind, a focused mind will do wonders. Therefore, spirituality and responsibilities in the world go hand in hand. Actually, they support each other. So I always saw a lot of parallels.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Swamiji. I think that's all the questions we have time for today. If there are any questions, I see there's one or two that have still come in. We'll probably maybe pass it over to you to answer offline and share the answers with those who have asked it privately. Swamiji, thank you so much for your time. Do you have any last thoughts for us before we close off the session?
Yes, the last thought I would share with you is ask yourself again and again. We enjoy reading, we enjoy studying, we enjoy listening. What percentage do we consciously try to practice in daily life? It's not easy to practice even the 20%. But suppose the answer is 10% I practice. Good, that's a good beginning. Because our mind is so clever. It listens to everything and says, wow, I liked it. Next moment, do the same thing as we did yesterday. It's very clever. So we must introspect. So spend a little time for introspection in the context of, do I live what I have been appreciating, and so on. So living the values and putting in some effort is very important. We should check ourselves on that.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Swamiji. I think
I
that
thank
brings
all of you.
to Thank you so much. This brings to a close this afternoon's webinar. I'd like to firstly thank you, Swamiji, so much for your invaluable time and knowledge and for taking the opportunity to spend and share with all of us this afternoon. It's really been a blissful experience as well. I'd also like to obviously thank Swami Sai Baba for giving us this opportunity and this platform to do his work, to share his love, and to learn in his presence. I'd like to thank each and every one of the participants for making time to join this webinar and to learn and share with us as well. I think all the questions have been very insightful and have really shed some light on some deeper topics and issues that we can all contemplate on. Just a few announcements before we end the session. There will be a Sri Sathya Sai International Conference in Nairobi, Kenya, from the 28th of June to the 1st of July this year. If anyone would like to attend, please register on the website www.saiconferencekenya2024.org. We'll also be observing the Buddha Purnima celebrations, which will be streamed online at www.satyasai.org/live on the 23rd of May at 5:30 a.m. LA time and 8:30 p.m. Malaysia time. So to keep up to date with the latest events, please follow us on Instagram at Sai Young Adults or visit us on our website at www.satyasai.org/ya/Veda And if you would like any more information or have any further questions regarding the Veda program, please feel free to email us at yaveda@satyasai.org. Thank you all again for attending the session, and thank you again, Swamiji, for your time. And we'll see you all at the next session. Jai Sai Ram.